If you're new here, I'm Allie, and I'm a woman on a mission to save womankind from certain destruction. Because I get it. Gen X mothers and baby boomer mothers did not put their daughters on feminine tip, but it's okay because I am here. If you like my content, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell. Today's video is going to be on areas that women can work on to become trustworthy women. But before I get into that subject, I have to make a couple of disclaimers here because I'm noticing that a lot of men are making their way to my channel, which is to be expected given the collaborations that I've done. And also, if you look around at female self-improvement spaces, there is a significant male audience. Why that might be, I'm not particularly sure. Maybe men are trying to be helpful and provide resources to the women that they love in their lives. Maybe they want to understand women a little bit better. But men, you have to understand that I am a woman and I am prone to female nature, and female nature is riddled with kindness and submission. So it's not necessarily in my nature to be quite assertive when I'm giving feedback to men. Am I capable of it at times? Yes. But with any advice that I give you, understand that I am coming from a modern traditional perspective, and that's not going to be most women. But also take anything that I give you and get it vetted by some male mentors, because men are going to be able to lead men best. Now, for the women that are here, I'm glad that you're here. I hope you tell your girlfriends about it. Let's get into this subject. Just so you know, any and all recommendations are solely based on advice in my conversations with men. So exercise discernment, and what I'm about to say is specifically for women who are in relationships with men that they believe are husband material or long-term relationship material. You don't want to waste these gems on just anybody. So the first subject I'm going to get into is passwords. Yes. You should be sharing your passwords to all communication accounts with your partner, and it's not just so that you can be monitored. That's not the point here. The point is that you can cultivate trust within your relationship, and there is no better way to do that through willingly divulging your passwords to social media, your email, and your phone. And let's talk about the phone, because it's much more than just punching some digits in there, right? We have thumbprints now. We have Face ID now, so you can go ahead and incorporate that within your security so that your partner understands that you trust him completely. And that's going to be a good foundation, because honestly, you shouldn't have anything to hide if you're choosing to commit to one man. If you're hesitant to divulge some of these passwords over to your male partners, it could be that you're not quite ready to settle down, that he's not your first choice, or that you have some trauma to where you feel like you can't be your true self with one of your partners. He can also be helpful. He can scroll through your phone and sort of get to the nitty-gritty when it comes to some of your male friends or some of your female friends. You can get actual real-time feedback on how some of these people could be toxic and actually hindering you. Because oftentimes, the woman is the last one to realize that her girlfriend is toxic, but her man knew. He knew. And the other thing that you can divulge is going to be your location. Again, this is not for tracking purposes. This is more so for your safety. I like to run on trails, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen Law & Order, but one of the first places for a woman to get got is typically on a trail. So I have my location given to my partner. Should something happen to me, should I lose signal, you just never know. And some of us ladies are not that good at charging our phones. And some of these location settings within your phone are designed so that you get updates every 15 minutes, something like that. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. The second area that women can work on is going to be accountability. Yeah, I know you're tired of hearing about it from the manosphere and the red pill community and all of these masculine male mentors, but it's one of the most attractive things that a woman can do, especially in a gynocentric society. That will set you apart from other women. And when we're talking about accountability, it's just admitting you were wrong when you were. If you truly in your heart of hearts don't feel like you were wrong, then it's not worth apologizing over. But if you know that you were prone to emotional error, maybe get feedback from your partner and ask him, do you think that I was really wrong? Could you explain to me how I could be wrong? And then if the logical argument makes sense, then go ahead and apologize. You have nothing to lose from apologizing to your partner. In fact, you have a lot to gain, that foundation of trust. I think as well, some women are afraid to apologize to their partners because they've been in situations in their upbringing or in their social circles where they apologized to someone and they were humiliated from it. Understand that a loving masculine man is not going to embarrass you for apologizing. he's probably going to be grateful. Now, it might take him some time to cool off, but apologizing is not a deal breaker. And if you're struggling with communication when it comes to apologizing, there is this apology quiz that you can look up. The man that wrote The 5 Love Languages, Gary Chapman, he's got a website. I'm going to put it in the description below where you can take an apology language quiz, because what works for one partner might not work for the other. You could be two ships passing in the night. You think you're creating an effective apology, but really the person isn't receiving it. For example, in my romantic situation, my partner is huge on accountability, so it's more so that he needs to hear from me, yes, I was wrong, I accept full responsibility. Whereas for me, I tend to prefer actions. I don't really want to hear that you're sorry, I just want to see the change. And this is good information to have, and that's going to help you to become a more trustworthy woman. A question you can ask after you apologize would be what you can do better in the future. Get that feedback from him and execute. Remember, you have nothing to lose, but a lot to gain. A little bit of embarrassment can be all that's standing in the way from an incredible amount of growth for you. Keep in mind that there are small, medium, and large mistakes. For your smaller mistakes, probably an apology will suffice. For the medium mistakes, you might have to perform acts of contrition. Acts of contrition would be, I know that I really hurt you, so I decided to go ahead and make you a full course meal because I am so apologetic and I'm embarrassed by my actions. That's one way to look at it. For the big mistakes, what you could do, what you probably need to do depending on the severity and the trust that you broke, is go to couples counseling, and that's going to be available to all couples, whether they are dating, engaged, married, or in long-term relationships. The third area you can work on to cultivate trust in your relationship is going to be cleaning out the closet. Chances are, the longer you've been on this earth, the longer you wait to get into a relationship, you're going to be walking in there with some baggage. You're going to be walking in there with some dirt. People aren't perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. But you probably want to inform your partner of the big icebergs that are lurking beneath the surface. Things like if you have mental health diagnoses, if you're taking any mental health medications, if you have any demons that are going to reappear in your relationship and put his reputation at risk. Men do not want to be surprised by some horrible action that you committed 5 to 10 years ago, and then now it's the talk of the town. Give him the information so that he can cognitively process what he might do to respond to that situation, because you just don't want to catch him off guard. That is the worst way to go about it. Part of cleaning out that closet is going to be having honest conversations about why your past relationships failed. And you can't just put it on your ex-boyfriend, on your ex-husband, on your daddy, on your mama. You have to exercise accountability so that he knows that you are capable of self-reflection. So that way you can demonstrate that you learned from your past mistakes and that it should be a little bit easier in your current relationship. Keep in mind that most men who are asking you about your past relationships and why they didn't work out are typically taking you very seriously and want to be in a long-term relationship with you. This is not something that is reserved for the weekend honey. That is for the primary woman, the wife, the long-term relationship girlfriend. Cutting off any and all exes is going to be part of that cleaning out the closet, dusting out the skeletons. You don't need to be in contact with your ex-boyfriends because typically they're only there to be a secondary option, and that's going to breed insecurity not just in the man but in yourself, because you'll psychologically be unable to commit to your current partner. So it is best practice to cut off any and all exes. On top of that, when it comes to male friendships, if they are necessary, if you have male mentors, it's very helpful and securing for a man when he's involved in the friendship and the vetting process. Every man that I collaborate with, my fiance screens. He knows exactly who I'm talking to when I talk to them, and women can say that that's controlling, but no, really, I just want open communication. And when you have open communication, you need a lot less explanation. It makes my life easier, it makes his life easier, and I set a good example when I represent him when I leave this house. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I understand some of these things are going to rub women the wrong way, but just take what you need, throw away the rest. And if you're unsure about some of these tips that I'm handing out, get it vetted by somebody that you trust. Somebody who cares about romantic relationships and making them last. You don't want to go to one of your girlfriends who's constantly dating new men. She's got 3 guys every quarter. And that's not to say that she's a promiscuous woman or anything like that. It's just your girl can't commit, so she's probably not the one to share my channel with. If you want to be truly taken seriously to the utmost degree as a modern woman, you could just delete your social media accounts. If you need a social media account, it's best practice to make sure that it's for professional use only. And by professional use only, I mean that you are not marketing your body, you are marketing a product or a service. Now, if you have a healthy relationship with social media, that's fine. But when you end up keeping your social media and you post your body, it communicates to the world that you're available as a woman. That's an uncomfortable truth to accept, but it is what it is. And is that how you want your relationship with a man that you actually love and want to stay with to be perceived by the public? Cleaning out your closet is a form of becoming a reformed and more proper woman. And proper practice socially for a woman is going to be not being an absolute gossip. I promise your man doesn't want to hear about what's going on around the office. If you want to share some things with him, yes, try not to make him your girlfriend. It's not sexy and it's not appealing. But if you gossip way too much around your partner, all it's going to do is indicate to him that you're probably talking about him behind his back. And a lot of women like to go around bashing their partner in private, but that's your person. Do you want other people to have negative impressions of him? Because what you're leaving open is a crack in the armor for miserable women to insert themselves into your relationship. So that way they can talk to you and say, well, didn't he do something really stupid last Christmas? At your weakest moment. When you're not really asking for her to give you a laundry list of reasons why you should be upset with him, but you're venting. That's why you have to exercise discretion when it comes to gossip. I get it. Women like to talk. I like to talk. But don't let it be a negative personality trait. The final component into becoming a more trustworthy woman is going to be validating your man's emotions, because contrary to popular belief, men do have feelings. They're just going to look a little bit differently, and women were a bit naturally empathic, and so we can see when your man is down and out. And when I say validate his emotions, what I'm saying is have respect for his experiences. If he's angry, if he's depressed, if he's anxious, hold space for him, but keep in mind too that if you're going to ask your male partner how he is feeling about something and he shares that with you, it's inappropriate for you to take his emotions and then say, well, I think you're interpreting your own feelings incorrectly. Here's how I think you should feel. Women fall into that trap all the time. Don't ask a man how he's feeling unless you actually want to know, because for a lot of women, that sort of makes them unattracted to their partner. So that's why you need to be mindful when you're asking these things of your partner. Men are human and they can't be on point at all times. And so when your man is down and out, you're supposed to be there to inspire him, yes, but it's not the time to bring up any and all deficiencies in the relationship or deficiencies around the house. If you are sad or upset and your partner comes in, has complete disregard for your emotional experience, and wants to remind you on how awful of a partner you've been lately or how dirty the house has been lately, it's going to make you feel worse. It's the same for men. And we have this issue of maternal narcissism where these men today, when they were boys, their emotions were not validated by their mothers. I'm not saying for you to be mama, I'm saying for you to be a considerate human being and validate his experience as a man. And for men out there, on the topic of crying, I do not recommend crying in front of a woman, barring a death in the family or the death of a dog. If you don't believe me, just try it and let me know how that works out for you. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. For a man to share his feelings such as anger, depression, or anxiety, it's a very vulnerable experience in itself. He's making a conscious choice to believe you when you say that you're going to be there for him in this time. So that's a perfect opportunity to stroke a man's ego. It's a lost art. And when I say stroking a man's ego is if he's feeling a little bit off because something happened at the office, you can reflect to him all of the positive things that he's done within the past 3 months. Start hunting the good stuff and then let him know, oh, I understand that you're feeling really upset, but have you considered all the progress you just made? That's amazing. Being an inspirational woman is not a setback. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you submissive. It makes you a considerate woman. Closing out on emotional validation for men, it's important to be considerate of your solipsism as a woman, and solipsism is that me lens that you work through and live in this world as a woman and communicate. And when I say me, have you ever noticed that when you're trying to relate to another woman that you start sharing stories about yourself? It's normal, it's female nature. For example, your girlfriend says, I just had a panini at Panera. And then you reply, I just had yogurt with berries and honey. She told you something about herself, and then you replied with something about yourself. That's how women talk to each other. When you talk to a man in that way, it comes off as narcissistic, which it's okay. It's just you want to check your solipsism when your man is sharing very important subjects with you, such as life accomplishments, trials and tribulations, or his emotions. Something that I've often noticed as well when it comes to women and emotional validation is if they apologize to their male partner about something that they did wrong, and it's not received well in its entirety by the male partner, then he must be wrong. It is incredibly invalidating when your man comes to you and says, I found your apology insincere, and then you reply with, that's just too bad. There are better ways to go about that. You can ask him, why would that come across as insincere? I'm curious. I want to know so I can be a better communicator moving forward. That is all I have for you guys. Everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. It's just advice. I'm not a professional. I'm just an observant woman. I'm a woman who talks to men and women every day and has joy and hope for the future to create nuclear families. That's my goal. That's my mission. You don't want to be part of the mission? That's fine. There's a whole other part of YouTube for you. If you like my content, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell. I will see you all next week. Bye.